So we've mentioned the first DPOY, which is the Defensive Player of the Year award. Let's move on to the second, the Disappointing Player of the Year award. And I think this should be like an obvious choice again. It's got to be Jimmy Butler. Stupidly locked in Jimmy Butler. People were saying Miami Heat would beat the Bucks in like 6, 5. I've seen some sweeps, but obviously that did not happen. Yeah, I know. is the reality because they could not. Jimmy Butler was just so disappointing. Like let's look at some stats because I love looking at stats. He got outscored by Bryn Forbes. Yeah, Bryn Forbes. Bryn Forbes had 15 points per game with 60 total points throughout the series. Jimmy Butler 14.5 with 58 total points. He had worse field goals than 11 of Bucks players. 9 regular players, but 11 still. Come on. Butler shot 30%. And 11th place, Axel Toupon shot 33%. PJ Tucker shot 42. That says a lot. And 27% from 3-pointers. That's just not going to cut it for Jimmy Butler.
For me, I don't know. I don't know about Jimmy Butler. Obviously he was disappointing. Miami Heat wasn't as good as the year before. Jimmy Butler just did not play like an all-star. But for me, mine's a very obvious pick. I think the guys that are watching right now, they probably already know from the defensive player, the disappointing player of the year. They'll be like, oh, you can only think of one man. Well, for me, it's Ben Simmons. Well, it's pretty. You know who it is. You know who he is. He's a very tall. He's an all-star. He's an all-star guard. So I'm so surprised that I'm calling him a guard. Look, in the regular season he was alright. Doc Rivers came in. He didn't use Ben Simmons as a traditional point guard. He was more as like a power forward center. He used Embiid as sort of like a power forward that scores, and who is it? Ben Simmons as like a player that becomes a pick and rolls and layups. And his defensive game, no more to say. I still think he's a great defensive player, but he was not good. He did not play like a second option. He played like a freaking bench player. He did not have to team when team needed him the most. Let's look at the stats now. He shot the second most free throws and recorded 33%. 33%. Look, 33%.
That's worse than this guy right here.
That's way worse than this guy. This guy was like Steph. You remember I forgot who it was. Mike Jackson.
Mark Jackson.
Yes. Mark Jackson in the playoffs. He called it Steph Kumbo.
Where was that for Ben Simmons? Right? Like, come on, Ben Simmons can't shoot like that.
Look, I don't know what. If you're a basketball player, you should be able to make those free throws. It can't be 33%. Averaged 9.9 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 8.6 assists against Hawks in the East Conference semifinals. Well, while Seth Curry and Tobias Harris, these guys scored 21 point, not averaged 21 point and 19.4. Mm-hmm. And they're like a starter or they're not even a second option. Mm-hmm. Ben Simmons is a second option, and he had 0 3-pointers attempted. 0. So he showed no improvements at all. Remember last season's off season when he was like shooting threes in the Instagram, showing like, oh, I'm gonna change this stuff. Everyone was like, oh, well, I think Ben Smith's gonna start shooting threes now.
Every single year. Same with this year too.
Comes to the playoffs, he never shoots a three. Look, he's still not confident. And overall, it seemed like he lacked confidence, and there was just no sense of urgency when the team was losing. No will to step up as a team second option. He's an all-star, and he let his team down in the second round. I feel like Philadelphia 76ers, they were the most disappointing team, in my opinion, in the playoffs. Like, they should have, as a first seed, they should have at least reached the conference finals, in my opinion. That should have been their expectation, or even finals. Well, their season is only nothing but a failure, in my opinion, and Simmons was at the center of it in that collapse. I think I don't know. What's wrong with Simmons? What's your opinion?
Well, for Ben Simmons, obviously, I think it's just psychological thing, because I love my Milwaukee Bucks, so I watch their YouTube videos on All Access and their practice. Giannis does not care about his free throw trolls. Like, he was making fun of his own air balls. He was saying, oh yeah, I airballed this, I airballed that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what other people say. People can count from 10 But he doesn't care. He can make those, and he's not afraid to like go up when it matters the most and not pass him a T-Stable, right? Because he's not afraid to shoot free throws. But speaking of free throws usually goes to this guy, and this guy was also disappointing in my opinion. Is James Harden. James Harden, every single season he's like, yeah, I lost weight. I've been hitting the gym, scary hours, but he never loses weight. His hamstring get worse, and he's injured every single season. Instead of going to nightclubs, why don't you go to fight clubs? Huh? Why don't you go to another like gym club? Like, come on, lose some of your weight. Like, you look so fat and overweight, and you're injuring your hamstrings every single year. That's just disappointing. Like, I'm not a biggest James Harden fan, as you can tell, but I think he deserves I think he deserves a ring. But if he's not working like this, he doesn't deserve it. He's got to work for that. Like, he's not shooting. Like, he's not losing his weight. Like, he can shoot, he can dribble, he can play make, but he's not putting the work in. He put the work in, like Kobe did, Michael did. He's the greatest player of all time. But the thing is, people might say, "Oh yeah, but he was injured. So how was he disappointing?" Well, that's one reason. Another reason is, like in Game 6, he showed he's still capable of making open threes. Let me bring some stats up again. 16 points with 5 from 9 from 3 against the Milwaukee Bucks. Against Drew Holiday too. So he showed that he is capable of shooting. He just could not show up in Game 7 especially. Holiday sagged so hard in Game 7. If you watch the clips again, whenever Kevin Durant has the ball and PJ Tucker's on him, Holiday's looking just at Kevin Durant, going towards Kevin Durant, leaving Harden wide open every single chance. You gotta say, if you're a former MVP, you can't be disrespected like that.
James Harden was really disappointing, I think. I feel like he was really good in the regular season. He was almost like called as an MVP, but he didn't play a lot of games. Obviously, he couldn't be an MVP. And first round against Boston Celtics, he was alright. But it's just that second round after his injury, like I don't know what happened. He was so passive, and just overall when he was in Nets, there were times when he carried the team into the win, but he just didn't look like the James Harden we knew in Houston Rockets. He would really bring the W. He would grab the W and just bring it to the team. That was him in the Houston Rockets. But Nets, he didn't look like him. He looked like he almost lost his will to even to have a fight up for the team. And because he doesn't have that, if he continues to not have that, I don't think he'll get a ring. He won't. He just won't. He will either he'll be a bench player in the team and win a ring there. That'll be the only option if he continues to play like this. Harden was disappointing. My other pick is KP. Look, I don't want you to laugh at this. As you can tell, I'm a Mavs fan. Yes, I like Mavs. Look, KP only showed in, I think it was a game 5. He hit a 3 to win us a game, but that was it. And he disappeared. Game 1, game 2, game 3, till game 7. Look, we put up a good fight. Clippers are a great team. And Mavs, we got better. Like, we got better than the beginning of the season where we were like 14th seed. We were better. But KP, he's supposed to be our second option. Luka is obviously our first option. He's an all-star. He's the best player. But KP shouldn't be as good as him, but should be following the steps. He should be at least be able to have the ball and score decent points, like 20 or 25. Look, that's what I expect him to be. He should be showing in the playoffs. But he is very injury prone. He just similar with Simmons. He lacked confidence. He didn't look good. He didn't want to shoot. And that's something very disappointing about KP for me.
Hey, thanks for watching Away End on YouTube. To lose more IQ and sports knowledge, subscribe.